remember how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. They did, and now 1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban. Many with no exceptions for rape or incest. You know what? Let me say something about this. We're here because we're fighting for a democracy. Fighting for a democracy. And understand the difference here. Understand the difference here. Moving forward. Moving forward. Understand the difference here. What we are looking at is a difference in this election. Let's move forward and see where we are. Because on the issue, for example, of freedom of choice, that's okay. That's all right.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It seems like this is a running theme for the Kamala campaign, the Taking Kamala campaign, which is for her to be protested at her rallies. Okay, she's getting protested at every single rally that she's doing. Doesn't matter where she goes across the country. The protesters are following her and they are heckling her. They're booing her. And you can tell she's getting frustrated, right? That clip that you just saw there was Kamala Harris being frustrated into a word salad, right? I mean, that's exactly what happened. She really didn't know how to deal with the situation. She doesn't know how to deal with the situation. So she just starts saying things like, we're fighting for our democracy. And there's a difference. There's a difference in this election. And is this working? Are the protesters still protesting? Yes, they're still protesting, Kamala, right? So she goes into her scripted talking points about abortion or Trump, right? Which is her go-to, okay? And the protesters are still protesting. So she has to stop again to address the protesters, right? And I love it because they typically get louder when she starts talking about Trump or when she starts talking about abortion, which are the only 2 things that she's running on at this point, right? She's not running on anything except abortion and Trump. So when the protesters protest at the times in which she's talking about those things, that's what I love the most, right? So keep it up, protesters, right? Continue to protest, especially when Kamala's talking about abortion and Trump. So with that being said, clearly Kamala Harris is very unpopular, even with people on the left. Okay, the protesters are far leftists. Okay, they are upset over the Israel-Hamas conflict, right? And this is why they are protesting her. But you also have other Democrats as well, too, that are frustrated with Kamala Harris. And I honestly think this is the worst sign for Kamala Harris's campaign, more so than the polls being in Trump's favor lately. Okay, I mean, the final polls are coming out. And, you know, it's looking good for Trump compared to where he was in 2016 and 2020. But I think more so than anything, the fact that you have Democrats in these swing states running ads in which they are embracing Trump, who Democrats are basically calling Hitler, right? So some Democrats have basically said, yeah, that Hitler guy, I agree with him on some things, right? That's what they're doing, okay? And then you also have some Democrats, like, for example, Lucas Kuntz, who is running for Senate in Missouri against Josh Hawley, when confronted on whether or not he is voting for Kamala Harris, just flat out will not answer the question, right? He will not answer the question on whether or not he is going to support Kamala Harris. Take a look.
In recent elections. So just to be clear, for the record, are you definitively able to say that you are voting for Vice President Harris?
And join this race to decide who the president is or to tell other people how to decide to vote for the president. You know, it's a uphill battle for me just going around Missouri, asking people to vote for me for U.S. Senate. So I'm focusing on that. I'm real excited to get into this office and win. And I can tell you right now, I will work with anyone and any president to bring money back to our state and do all the things that everyday people here in Missouri need. And that includes codifying Roe versus Wade, ending the filibuster, passing the Protecting the Right to Organize Act, and many other things.
But you're comfortable saying you're going to support the amendment in your state. You're not going to support, or you can't say definitively here and now that you will support the Democratic nominee for president?
Again, I didn't get in the race to try to decide how other people vote for president. I've gotten into this race to sell myself, to talk about what I'm going to do for Missouri. And I just want to stay hyper-focused on that. Like, I want to show the contrast between me and Josh Hawley, and I don't want to spend another second on anything else. And that's where we're going to be.
Given what you've said about Josh Hawley and Project 2025, can you say definitively you won't be voting for former President Trump?
I can tell you what, when I'm in office, I will vote against every single thing that they got in Project 2025 that takes away power from everyday people. And I'm going to make sure that Josh Hawley's not in there to run his Project 2025 agenda going forward in 2025.
What about former President Trump? Would you cast your ballot for him? Is there any chance you would vote for former President Trump?
Again, everybody's trying to get me to tell people how to vote in this election, or
I just want to know how you're going to vote. I just want to know how you're going to vote.
And I'm just saying, it's not my place, right? Like, I'm in Missouri, we have protected ballots. I'm going to vote for who I'm going to vote for, and I'm going to tell you right now, like.
Yeah, I think that's a worse sign than any poll, right? When you have Democrats that are running ads in which, again, they're embracing Trump in these ads, pretending as if they're cool with Trump or that they align with Trump on some things. And then you have Democrats that are flat out saying, you know what? I'm not really going to align myself with Kamala Harris. I'm not even going to tell you I'm going to vote for her. Right? That's crazy to me, right? That's absolutely insane. You have Democrats who are currently running for office saying, nah, I am not going to tell you whether or not I'm voting for her. I am not trying to be associated with her at all. I don't know who I'm voting for, right? And what's hilarious about this guy is that not only does he apparently not know who he's voting for, but he also doesn't know how to shoot, apparently. Take a look.
Inside Delmar Hall, John Hamm and Lucas Kunce rally Democratic supporters ahead of a debate tonight. And outside, these are not Halloween costumes. No, these are campaign stunts from the old school of campaigns. The Hawley campaign here to troll Lucas Kunce for injuring a reporter.
You all look like press. Lucas Kunce has been shooting at the press recently. I would love for you all to get one of these vests.
Josh Hawley's already openly mocking you for wounding a reporter during a campaign event at a shooting range. Why were you shooting a high-powered scoped rifle at a steel target from like 20 feet?
Look, we came in and the range was set up by an NRA certified training instructor.
There's video showing you put the targets up. What was going on there?
So he set up all the targets, and then after you'd shoot, you go put the targets back up. And so we followed his directions throughout. He'd run that range, I don't know, dozens of times. Being a training counselor is one of the highest levels of certification you can get from the NRA, actually. And we trusted him. Turned out he was wrong. You know, the reporter got a little piece of fragmentation, but he was okay, bandaged him up. We moved on with our day. He was able to finish reporting. And, you know, I'm glad Ryan's doing well.
You called it a great day at the range. Was it a great day at the range?
You know, I think that that we all got through it. Everything worked out okay. And, you know, I'm just proud of the fact that we were able to take care of him and he was fine.
Come on, man. Come on. Okay? This is a clown show. The Democrat Party is a full-blown clown show. So, with that being said, because they're a clown show, clearly this guy has a tough time defending himself in a debate with Josh Hawley, in which Josh Hawley essentially roasts this guy for shooting a reporter and also hammers him as well, too, on his extreme policy positions, in which he's clearly aligned with Kamala Harris, something that he really can't run away from.
It's a little bit of courage to share a stage with Lucas Kunce after he shot a reporter last week. I guess he wants to go out with a bang. Now, as to the question about the economy, I'm so glad you asked that because I think it's something that's on so many people's minds. Let me just start with credit cards. Here's what I would do. I think that the rates that the credit card companies are charging are absolutely outrageous. I think they're extortionary, and I would cap them. I proposed 18%. President Trump has proposed lower. I would be happy to go lower because, listen, the bottom line is people need to be able to keep what they earn. And listen, these credit card companies and these banks, they are making profits hand over fist. They don't need to make 30 and 40% interest. That's what, in many cases, the average credit card interest rate is right now, nationwide, 30+%. I think it's absolutely outrageous. We have got to get those costs down. We've got to get wages up. We've got to reopen American energy production. What I would not do, however, is what my opponent has said he would do, which I have to say I just don't understand. He has a plan to get rid of all fossil fuels in the state of Missouri, to get rid of all American energy, no gas, no diesel, no biofuels. He endorsed it and wrote about it last time he ran for the Senate 2 years ago. I think that that would be just the opposite of what we need to do. That would raise the cost of electricity, one economist estimates, by 100%. I can't think of anything worse for Missouri families. There's a lot of tall tales being told tonight, I guess appropriately for Halloween. Let's see if we can separate a little fact from fiction. First of all, here's what I would start by never doing. I would never give Social Security to illegal immigrants. I would never give 15, 20 million illegal immigrants in this country amnesty, which my opponent, sadly, has said over and over that he supports. And I wouldn't give Medicare to illegal immigrants either. To protect our Social Security program, we've got to make sure that the people who paid into it actually keep everything they paid in. And by the way, that's why I oppose, and always have, raising the retirement age or any cuts to any benefits of any kind for Social Security. Now, if you want to know how to save Social Security, the answer is start cutting things like the 87,000 IRS agents that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have spent billions of dollars on, and by the way, which my opponent supports. But more than anything else, we have got to make sure that Social Security is there for every American worker who paid into it. And we can start by ensuring illegal immigrants never get it. And we never, ever, ever give them amnesty. In the last 4 years, we have been through a lot together. 15 million illegals have come across the border, crime like we've never seen before in our lifetimes, inflation that none of us can afford. And while my opponent will not tell you tonight who he's going to vote for, I think we all know whose policies he supports, Kamala Harris. So I think this election is about something very simple. Do you think we can do better? If you want to go on like we have been, if you want to double down on these failed policies that have got us here, then I think my opponent is probably your man. But if you believe that we can do better, if you believe we can bring jobs back to this country, if you believe that we can secure our border, if you believe that we can protect our children, I ask for your support. I think of a woman who I met just the other day on the campaign trail in O'Fallon, Missouri. She came up to me and said, as our rally was ending, she took my hand and she told me that she'd been diagnosed with cancer. And she said, Josh, I won't see you again, but I want to tell you how much I love this country and what a joy it is to get to stand and fight to save it. That's our mission. That's our calling. Let's do that together. Thank you and good night.
Yeah. So as you can see there, Democrats are struggling. Okay. They're really struggling to distance themselves from the Biden-Harris agenda in the disaster of their administration. Okay. Because this guy, he can't tell you who he wants to vote for, which is crazy to me because, again, he's a Democrat. So you would think that this guy would want a Democrat in office, but Kamala Harris is so toxic, right? Her brand is so toxic in some parts of the country. Now, again, this is Missouri, but still, come on now. She's so toxic that this guy can't even commit to supporting her. He's basically saying, well, if I'm elected into office, I'm totally fine with working with Hitler, right? That's what he's saying, okay? I mean, again, Hitler as in, you know, the way the Democrats tried to frame Trump as Hitler, but it really shows you how empty that rhetoric is, right? That these people don't actually really believe it because you have major Democrats who are basically, again, trying to align themselves with Trump and just flat out not endorsing Kamala Harris. And again, this is across the board, whether you look at some of these major liberal newspapers, unions, Democrat candidates, mayors, and small, like, it's happening across the country. And again, it's not the same thing in regards to what's happening on the right, where you have a bunch of Trump deranged individuals that are basically becoming Democrats because, again, they hate Trump, right? Like, that's not the same, right? This is actually different. This is a actual representation of just how bad Democrats have governed, right? Like, this is about governance, okay? Now, again, what's happening on the right, the Never Trumpers, again, that's about just hating Trump, right? That's about mean tweets. What's happening on the left, the rejection of Kamala Harris, again, that's about actual policy, right? That's about results. That is about things that actually matter, right? That actually affect the American people. And that's what makes this so bad, right? That's what makes this so bad for Kamala Harris. So in my opinion, I think this is the worst sign for Kamala Harris. This is worse than Trump being up in the polls, to be honest with you, because listen, 2016, 2020, they had a unified Democrat Party, right? I've never seen the Democrats go into an election this divided, right? The Democrat Party is extremely divided, okay? In 2016, they were not this divided, okay? They were unified in their opposition against Trump in 2016. They were unified in their opposition against Trump in 2020. In 2024, they're not unified in their opposition against Trump. Not in the same way they were in 2016, 2020, right? You didn't have Democrats coming out and saying, nah, I don't want to be associated with Hillary, or no, I don't want to be associated with Joe Biden. Not to the extent of what you're saying right now with Kamala Harris. And again, I think that this is the worst sign for her. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.